Approved. DS5, resolution to approve a professional legal services agreement with NASIF and Reeser PLLC DBA, the Model Cities Legal Services, to provide legal representation as court-appointed counsel to indigent defendants, $240,000. Moved by Councilmember Kunzelman, second by Councilmember Warpahowski. Discussion of DS5. Councilmember Taylor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Consistent with past practice, the other contracting party in this instance is a client of mine, and so I ask council's acquiescence in my standing down from participation in DS5 and DS6.
I think the council needs to
No, I'm asking their acquiescence in the form of a vote.
Okay.
Yes. Any discussion on that vote? Moved by Councilmember Warpahowski, second by Councilmember Higgins. Discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Back to DS5. Councilmember Long.
Question again, when I submitted, and this, basically I want to know why, there's no RFP in this contract for legal services. The cover memo indicated that this is a flat fee contract for services, and so I was wondering how the $240,000 was derived, and if you've considered conducting an RFP for this service.
Speak to that.
Yeah, I'll speak to it. Councilmember, the $240,000 for the fiscal year 14 is that flat rate contract that I referred to a little earlier this
Okay.
evening. The way we
The flat
reached,
240, okay,
pardon me?
yep.
Yeah, that's the flat rate contract for fiscal year 14. The way we reached that number is by looking at the 180, which obviously didn't fly, and considering the number of back cases that the attorneys had available, that is what they were planning to bill us or had billed us, then we factored that number in above the 180. We came up with an estimate, and I think it's a good faith estimate, of 240 that both sides agreed was probably doable for them on a flat rate basis, $240,000 for the upcoming year. There was some give and take. There was some negotiation involved. There was some compromise involved. As you might guess, the attorneys thought that that might be a little low. The court thought that that might be a little high, but we were able to compromise on that number.
And is this a service you've considered conducting an RFP for?
Actually, that's a good question. We have not in the past. We have typically used Model City Legal Services because their cost has been highly competitive, because they are experienced and skilled in courtroom practice, and because they do a fair amount of pro bono work that doesn't get billed for the court. Is it legally, theoretically possible to do an RFP? I believe it is. But that's the best answer I can offer to you on that one. We have not done an RFP in the past, in recent memory. I can tell you that about 4 years ago, a similar caucus question arose asking what local rates were. And at the time, I did do a survey of local rates, and we did determine then that Model Cities was able to provide a service at a very competitive cost.
I mean, I just think in general, it's good to do, it's like a sanity check, if you will, issue RFPs and, have a good sense of, whether we are, contracting at competitive rates. And I know that they've not been providing timely invoices, and,
right.
Maybe that's, you'd be better served, by working with an outfit that, because, then we wouldn't have this sudden need to add,
I understand.
1,000 plus to the.
Councilmember, I think maybe one of the judges.
We have another comment. I would like to be able to, I wish we could get the meeting moving along a little better. It seems that some of this is perhaps instruction for our judges, and maybe we could set up a different conversation, a different forum for that type of discussion.
Yeah,
for council members and judges to talk about these budgets and going forward and perhaps what could be done. And perhaps we could just get back to moving through these agenda items, because we still have a number of agenda items to get through tonight, and it is 20 minutes of 11.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to really address quickly the issue, because I was on City Council in the last time that issue came up with the RFP. The reason you can do an RFP for legal services. The difference that we have with model cities is that they do more than just show up in court. They are our connection to every social service agency that, as council members discussed, they are experts in mental health, substance abuse, veterans affairs. They staff all of our specialty courts. They know all the caseworkers in every community mental health, you name it. And so it's not just, can we get somebody to stand in court and give indigent representation at a cost that might be competitive, which compared to other public defenders, they are way below. But there's much more to what they do. So it's not really comparing apples to apples, and we want just to put that out there. Brant Funkhauser, who has been in Model Cities for 30 years, he knows everyone, and you can't buy that. And so when I have somebody in front of me in my vets court that might not fit for their veterans benefits, he will call somebody in the social services agency that he knows and get them in there and to keep them out of jail. So there is a value that it's hard to present to you just on apples to apples if we just farmed it out and said, who's going to give us the best price? So that's why I think Judge Hines will tell you, and Judge Burke also, because they have the same representation. And all three of the attorneys from Model Cities are here, and I'm sure they'll be happy to answer questions. But that's very important for us judges. We get nervous because we know when we have somebody that's there, if they don't have any connection to our social service agencies, then that person may just end right up in jail because there's no connection. So that's the thing that we worry about when we discuss it, and Judge Hines could probably add more to that.
But I won't in light of that, except to say also they're incredibly available and accessible, and that's not true sometimes when you bid a contract out.
Further discussion of DS5? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. DS6, resolution approving amendment to professional legal services agreement with Funkhauser and Nassif PLLC, DBA Model Cities Legal Services, Inc., to provide legal representation as court-appointed counsel to indigent defendants for fiscal year 2013, $203,000, amendment 383, new contract NTE, moved by Councilmember Teal, second by Councilmember Warpahowski. Discussion of DS6. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved.